So let's get the slides rolling. So as an artist, I act upon the border area of art, science, and technology. The crux of my artistic practice are the notions of the inaudible, the intangible, and the invisible. Specifically, I'm interested in the area where both the biological and the technological kind of overlap and commingle, this kind of fuzzy, indistinct area. So when I was a kid, I was fascinated by space photography. And I even dreamed about creating the first art colony in space. I guess I was fascinated by the infinity of space, or the idea of infinity, and its blackness. For me, it was a true expression of both the beautiful and the sublime. So many dark years and many dark thoughts later, I came across a quote from an Indian-British artist, Anish Kapoor. And he said that a work of art will only have a deep resonance if the kind of darkness I can generate is something that is resident in me already. And this was for me the trigger, or the connection between both the physical, the metaphysical, and the psychological worlds that I wanted to explore and express in my art. So there is no better place to start researching as mythology. And you see here the goddess Nyx, the deity of the night. She married with Erebus, her brother actually, the deity of shadow and darkness. And on the right-hand side, you see Perseus wearing Athena's cap of invisibility, or the helmet of darkness. And a hint, actually, because this is really important, how to connect art with science. Well, a hint was given by Yves Klein, an artist from the 60s. And he collaborated with scientists, chemists, to develop a synthetic resin, which is called rhodopas. It's polyvinyl acetate, or better known now as wood glue, to actually preserve the brilliance of the pigment. So there is a kind of analogy with what I'm doing now. So, but can we go beyond pigments? And that's when I discovered nanoparticles and its properties. So even in the Mayan culture, they discovered nanoparticles in the Mayan blue, or in the stained glass of churches in the Middle Ages. And in the middle, and this is really Harry Potter, you know, this is the Lycurgus cup. And when illuminated from the back, it goes from green to red. I mean, this is really magical. This is quantum mechanics at play. So size matters, and you know, ask this any woman here in the room. This is a representation of an average human hair seen under a scanning electron microscope. And if we take the width of a human hair and we make it 1,000 times smaller, that's round about nanoscale. It's 1/1000th of a meter. That is 1 nanometer. It's incredibly small. And small is beautiful. This is a scanning electron microscope image. It's called nano art. And it's practiced by some obscure scientists. It's not even considered yet as art. It will come. And it's 1/1000th of a meter. And this is, you know, a sample which you hardly see with a visible eye. But when you put it under this machine, it becomes clear. So DNA, buckyballs, viruses, and CNTs, they all fall into this kind of domain, the nanoscale domain. So I went to Rice University, where I collaborated with Ajay and Pulikel to fabricate, you know, this black is black. And you see Harold Kroto, he's actually the guy that kind of started it, and he was looking into the interstellar medium, trying to find carbon change, and he found them, and then together with Richard Smalley, a chemist, they developed the first carbon molecule, synthetically engineered, called the buckyball. So now I want you to imagine a pencil. What's inside a pencil? It's graphite. And when you draw with it, and you would put that under a scanning electron microscope, you probably would see a 1 atom thick layer of graphene, and that's the right-hand side image. It looks a little bit like chicken wire. So if you roll that up, it becomes a carbon nanotube. And when it's more spherical, it's a buckyball. And the tensile strength is enormous, and it has thermic and electric properties which are exceptional. So many people ask me, like, how did you make this black as black? Well, we start with cutting silicon wafers. You see it on the right-hand side. That we deposit, that we actually bring into a sputter. And it deposits an atomic size, layers of atomic size particles of metal. It can be gold, it can be iron, it can be anything. Now, this goes into a chemical vapor deposition room, where actually, because of heat and gases, there is a kind of catalyst moment. And suddenly, you see this carbon nanotubes, this black material, you see it growing, because it's actually growing. So the blackest black in the middle, you see these spirals, and these spirals contain vertically aligned, loosely packed carbon nanotubes. And now I have to explain you something, because actually imagine light as a ping pong ball. And you have a box, a closed box, you make a little hole in there, ping pong ball goes through the little hole, but once it's in there, it kind of stutters. And the chance is very low that it finds its way out. This is called the gravity principle, and that is actually at play in this thing. It captures all light. This is hostage. This is a 7 by 7 centimeter black square. And the nice thing is that you cannot represent it. You have to see it to experience this black material. Also, never take pictures with a flash, because the photoacoustic effect can trigger a kind of explosion in these carbon nanotubes. So this work won the Ars Electronica Next Idea Award, which is kind of a major kind of competition, internationally renowned for media arts and crossovers, and the Best European Collaboration Award. So currently I'm working with Rice University, NASA, on these kind of things, and with Showtex, which makes the blackest textiles in the world, and Melot, who's doing rapid prototyping, because carbon nanotubes grow really well on titanium substrates. So there is kind of nice things going on. This is John. I'm currently collaborating with him to encapsulate the carbon nanotubes in epoxies, so it becomes less fragile, also the adhesiveness. So now I want you to imagine something. Imagine a cube which is spinning in space, and it's full of carbon nanotubes. What do you think you would see? You would see a two-dimensional object. You would only see the silhouette. And you have to touch the object to understand the complexity of its geometry. I think this is really nice. And at the same time, it could become a super efficient solar cell. So the end is only the beginning, and what you see here is a space elevator. And the only way, it's still sci-fi, but the only way to make a space elevator is with carbon nanotubes. But what I'm interested in as an artist is to create a space elevator to our imagination, our mind and our senses. Because I truly believe that this art project has the potential to make sciences a little bit more human and art a little bit less ridiculous. Thank you.